The Human Bomb #4, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Jerry Ordway. Last issue, Human Bomb and his telepath friend Joan ended up in an alien base on a moon of Jupiter. I'm not even going to explain how we got there, but we're there now. And this issue is by far like the fastest comic I've ever read that still had words in it. So they're freaking out. They're surrounded by aliens. Human Bomb just starts throwing explosives everywhere. Then he hits the floor and they start dropping through floor after floor trying to get away. Finally, they hit some sort of base level where they see that the aliens are terraforming a vast section of the moon. And they're like, okay, let's just steal a ship or work their teleportation machine. And Joan is like, that's stupid. We aren't going to be able to figure that crap out. We're going to die here. And so they're stopped in a glass tube tunnel by some aliens, and Human Bomb's like, all right, I'll spin my explosion so that it doesn't hit the walls, but still bombs them. And it works perfectly. And so he suggests, all right, well, if we can't get out of here ourselves, why don't you use your mental abilities to send out a distress signal? And she's like, oh, I mean, I guess that could work, but I've never even imagined trying to link up with another mind from light years away. And I'm going to pause there. I know usually I get through the whole issue before I say anything, but a light year is much, 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 much farther away than how far a moon of Jupiter is to Earth. This is basic Google stuff, man. You Google how far is a light year. Not that damn far. Anyway, she's like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot, I guess. But before they can start doing that, Human Bomb bombs his way into a storage room where apparently these aliens have just kidnapped a whole bunch of NASA stuff, including a fully working spaceship, some lunar modules, and full oxygen tanks along with spacesuits that are fully functioning. So they get into the spacesuits because they think, hey, we might need this in case we're going outside for any reason. And then she sends out her distress signal, basically saying, hey, SOS, anybody who happens to be there. So as she's out of it, one of the aliens fires. It hits Joan through and through, like she's super dead. And Human Bomb's like, no, not while we're this close, you sons of bitches. And he lets that loose, this huge explosion that takes out a whole bunch of them. He cradles Joan in his arms and it's just like, oh, you're going to be fine. She's not going to be fine. But she imparts her psychic knowledge and all of her memories into his head so that she's able to possibly have a part in saving his life and the world. And so she says that they're using fuel from the moon's core. There's a drilling shaft that goes all the way into the mantle. Use that to blow up the moon and save the planet. Okay, do that. And she just lays down Joan's corpse and then proceeds to go on like a 7-page tear where he just goes through and bombs everyone. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. They have jetpacks now. I wish I could fly. And then he thinks, wait a minute, I can explode stuff at my feet too. I've just been using my hands because it feels more natural. So he starts flying up with explosives at his feet. He throws out a bunch of his Human Bomb stuff at these guys. One of them has a chainsaw, which for some reason gives him trouble, despite the fact that he's a long-range guy. So I don't know what's the problem. And he just blows through him, makes their way to the hole that they cut down to get the fuel out, and he jumps his way into the hole. And when he gets to the bottom, he activates his bomb powers and blows up an entire moon of Jupiter, which he is somehow okay from. And I don't mean that in the sense of, oh, he isn't damaged by the explosion, because it makes sense, he's not. That's part of his power set. But his suit is 100% fine as well. And as he's drifting in all of the debris, he's like, well, I saved the world, but I'm going to die here. Not a bad way to go. And then Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, shows up, and he's like, hey, I don't know who you are, but I heard a woman's voice SOSing earlier, so I'm going to save you and bring you back to Earth. Cut to some time later, Michael's waking up. He's getting out of a house. As he walks down a hallway, he sees a bunch of paintings of presidents, and he's like, am I in the White House? And turns out Uncle Sam is there, and he's like, no, you're in the Heartland. And, he explains, Green Lantern saved you. You saved the world along with Joan. Her sacrifice will not be in vain. I want you to join our team. And he's like, what team? What's going on? And he introduces Human Bomb to the Ray, Phantom Lady, and Doll Man. And he says, I want a team that's going to fight for our freedom. And then we get a little "the end?" question mark at the end, which the answer is yes. Nothing more was done with the freedom fighters. This is all you will see of them. As for this issue, it makes them... every issue before this felt like it was sprinting. It felt like it was trying to get as much in as humanly possible, as fast as possible, and it didn't give any sort of time for the characters to just be. This issue was one long extended fight scene, but it at least gave time for Michael to monologue and say, oh yeah, I was a soldier. I've always been fighting a war. I've always been doing this. It took the time. I appreciate that. That being said, because they spent so fast sprinting down before, this turned from a thing where, oh, there's a terrorist plot and some people are bombs, like actual bombs themselves. And it made its way to, we're on a moon of Jupiter with an entire alien race. And I gotta think maybe there was an easier story you could have told. Just maybe go back to the drawing board, cut out the alien aspect, and do some other stuff first. Like just normal terrorists. If you're planning on having a USA fighting force called Freedom Fighters, terrorists are an okay way to go. But yeah, it's just... the story as a whole was not what I was expecting, nor what I wanted. The art, however, and what they ended up doing with it was acceptable enough. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6, which is kind of just the rating for the series as a whole, but this particular issue, it's got its issues while it also is okay in other rights. So I think a 6 sounds fair enough. But yeah, that is the end of the 4-issue miniseries detailing the Freedom Fighters before they did nothing else, and especially not becoming freedom fighters.